no one saw this coming. While the world was busy hyping the next battery breakthrough and electric mile-range wars, Koenigsegg quietly built something that just shattered the entire EV industry. And it's not electric. At the Geneva Motor Show, Christian von Koenigsegg unveiled a motor so powerful, so compact, and so radically different, it doesn't just compete with EVs. It erases their core advantages and flips the future of cars on its head. This isn't just another hybrid or electric powertrain. This is the dark matter motor, a machine so advanced it could kill the EV era before it even matures. If you think electric is the only way forward, prepare to be shocked. Stick with me, because what you're about to hear will change everything you thought you knew about cars and the industry that's driving us all into tomorrow. But before we dive in, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you want the fastest, most jaw-dropping automotive revelations delivered straight to your feed. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. The Geneva Motor Show was supposed to be predictable. Everyone came expecting sleek EV prototypes, over-polished battery tech, and recycled buzzwords about sustainability. The media was already writing their headlines. Faster charging, new lithium breakthrough, another Tesla killer. But then Koenigsegg rolled in. No warning, no leaks, just one car, one sound, and a moment that changed the automotive timeline forever. It didn't whisper, it roared. And in that instant, the silence of the EV revolution cracked wide open. Standing at the center of it all was Christian von Koenigsegg, looking less like a car executive and more like a mad scientist who just broke the speed of light. Behind him, a machine growled, not with the low hum of electric motors, but with a tone that felt alive. It didn't sound like the future everyone was promised. It sounded like the future no one saw coming. They called it dark matter, a hybrid motor so compact it fits in a carry-on, so powerful it eclipses anything on the road, and so mechanically pure it makes traditional EVs feel like silent toys. Journalists froze, engineers whispered, CEOs panicked. Because what Koenigsegg unveiled wasn't just an engine, it was a reckoning. This wasn't a rebrand or a refresh. It wasn't a clever way to package the same tech in a shinier shell. This was a full-blown assault on the assumptions holding up the entire EV industry, and it came from a company with fewer employees than most automakers have janitors. But let's be honest, this wasn't out of character. Koenigsegg has never played by the rules. While mainstream manufacturers dump millions into autonomous driving software, Koenigsegg is handcrafting speed itself. They're not trying to remove the driver from the experience. They're trying to amplify the human-machine connection until it becomes symphonic. Other companies worship software updates. Koenigsegg worships physics. They don't chase trends. They chase perfection. That philosophy runs through every bolt, every weld, every molecule of carbon fiber. And now it's culminated in the dark matter powertrain, something so far beyond conventional hybrid systems it might as well be an alien artifact. Forget the old definition of hybrid. This isn't a Prius. It's not a compromise. It's not a step towards something else. It's the final form. Let's talk numbers because they don't even sound real. 800 horsepower, 922 lb-ft of torque. 0 gears, no transmission, no clutch, no lag, just pure, instant acceleration from 0 RPM. This thing isn't measured in 0 to 60. It's measured in shockwaves. And the best part? It made its debut inside a monster that was already rewriting history, the Koenigsegg Jesko. The Jesko, for the uninitiated, isn't just a car, it's a mechanical supernova. Originally built with a 5.0L twin-turbo V8 and a multi-clutch transmission so advanced it didn't even need gears in the traditional sense. It was already untouchable. But Koenigsegg wasn't satisfied, so they ripped out the transmission, ripped out the KDD system, and replaced it with the dark matter, a motor so advanced it made their own world-beating drivetrain look obsolete. Let that sink in. Koenigsegg just deleted their own masterpiece and said, "We can do better." The result? 1,400 horsepower, delivered with no shifts, no surges, no lag. Just a single, uninterrupted wave of acceleration that feels like it bends time. The Jesko doesn't accelerate anymore. It warps. But here's the real question. Where did this motor come from? How does a boutique Swedish company beat Porsche, Rimac, and Tesla at their own game? The answer is simple. They disappeared. While the rest of the industry obsessed over battery chemistry and lobbying regulators, Koenigsegg went dark. No press releases, no flashy prototypes, just pure, undistracted engineering. Inside a hidden lab surrounded by frozen lakes and pine forests, a handful of engineers got to work on a powertrain that didn't fit any category. They weren't trying to make a better EV. They were trying to break the simulation entirely. They named it dark matter because what they were building didn't conform to known rules. This wasn't an electric motor. It wasn't a gas engine. It wasn't a hybrid. It was something else. A 6-phase radial flux E-motor, an axially cooled silicon carbide inverter, an oil-cooled stator. No rare earth magnets, no clutch, no gears, no compromise. And yet somehow it delivers torque with the ferocity of a jet engine and the precision of a Swiss watch. They weren't trying to impress governments. They weren't building for tax credits or greenwashing press conferences. They were building the future in silence. Christian von Koenigsegg didn't want headlines. He wanted hegemony. And when the veil finally lifted in Geneva, the world saw it. The motor industry didn't just flinch, it staggered. Because this wasn't just another disruptive moment. This was a declaration. The EV age is no longer inevitable. There's now a third path. A darker, faster, leaner path paved not with lithium or legislation, but with torque, logic, and defiance. And Koenigsegg just lit the fuse. The explosion had a name. They called it dark matter for a reason. Not because it was mysterious, but because it redefined the mass-to-energy ratio, like something torn from a physics textbook and rewritten in Koenigsegg ink. A 6-phase radial flux electric motor with axial cooling, the kind of sentence that would send a mechanical engineer into a frenzy. But the specs don't just live on paper, they live in reality. All 800 horsepower of it. It's the size of a watermelon. Seriously, a motor that small, that angry, that compact, and yet it delivers instant torque from a standstill. No spooling, no buildup, no software-stitched illusion of speed. Real, relentless torque at 0 RPM. There are no rare earth magnets to mine, no clutch packs, no gears to snap. It's just output. Brutal, clean, unfiltered power flowing through a silicon carbide inverter cooled with oil, built to take the kind of sustained punishment that would melt most drivetrains into puddles of regret. And here's the terrifying part. It's modular. This isn't some hypercar-only experiment locked away in a $1 million carbon shell. Koenigsegg designed the dark matter to be plug-and-play, the kind of thing you could drop into a sedan, a supercar, or even an SUV without redesigning the whole vehicle. You're not looking at the next hypercar drivetrain. You're looking at a scalable revolution, one that could infect the entire market from the top down. Which begs the question, how? How does a company with just 500 employees build something that global giants like Mercedes-AMG, Porsche, and BMW haven't even come close to? Because Koenigsegg is not a car company. It's a weapons lab camouflaged as an automaker. They don't outsource innovation. They don't buy off-the-shelf solutions. Every screw, every wire, every millimeter of carbon tubing is designed in-house from scratch with purpose. This is the same team that invented the camless engine, the same people who developed free valve tech that defied over a century of internal combustion logic. They aren't polishing old ideas. They're throwing them into a blender and building something new from the shrapnel. The dark matter isn't cutting edge. It's reality breaking. It's a machine so efficient, so clean, and so powerful that it invalidates the design principles baked into the last decade of EV thinking. And now, it's coming for gearboxes. Think about this. Traditional gearboxes are drag. They waste energy, add weight, break under pressure, and cause performance dips as the car hunts for the right ratio. Electric vehicles avoided them altogether with smooth, single-gear systems that favor instant torque. But hybrids, they were stuck in the middle. Until now. Koenigsegg's new powertrain doesn't just ditch the gearbox, it erases its reason to exist. Thanks to torque vectoring and a single-stage reduction gear, the dark matter delivers continuous linear power without a single hiccup in momentum. No shifting, no lag, no mechanical delay, just power, uninterrupted. What you get is something that feels less like a car and more like a guided missile. Imagine driving a Bugatti, but without ever feeling the rev drop, the gear change, or the tiniest stall in performance. Just endless forward thrust, like gravity forgot how to hold you down. Every other hybrid system suddenly feels ancient, like cassette tapes in a streaming era. This isn't about refinement. This is removal of complexity, of drag, of anything that gets in the way of performance purity. And the rest of the industry? They're playing a different game entirely. Rimac is going full electric, building hypercars with battery banks the size of bathtubs. Ferrari is cautiously dipping its toes into hybrids, hoping regulators won't slap them too hard. Lucid is pushing voltage. Tesla is chasing autonomy and cost-cutting. But Koenigsegg isn't here to impress environmentalists. Christian von Koenigsegg isn't trying to save the planet. He's trying to win a war with physics. Every component in the dark matter powertrain has one job: eliminate inefficiency, eliminate waste, and eliminate weakness. No compromise, no virtue signaling, just mathematical violence made tangible. And if Koenigsegg chooses to scale this motor even slightly, the consequences could be catastrophic for the EV elite. Why? Because EVs are heavy. They're dependent on fragile supply chains. Their platforms are married to high-voltage architectures that can barely handle their own heat output. Meanwhile, this little hybrid monster sips fuel when it needs to, draws from electric current when it must, and operates at peak performance 100% of the time. You don't need a 350 kilowatts charger. You don't need rare earths from the Congo. You don't need 1,200 pounds of lithium sitting under your seat. You need dark matter. This isn't a throwback. It's not nostalgia. It's not a return to combustion. It's the fusion of two power sources in perfect harmony, tuned for war, sharpened to a blade, and pointed directly at the heart of the automotive establishment. The EV timeline doesn't end with batteries or hydrogen because now there's a third path, and it's Koenigsegg's dark hybrid versus everyone else stuck in the past. Most hybrids on the market today feel like a sad middle ground, a compromise carved out between emissions regulations and buyer demands. They're heavier, slower, and lack the visceral thrill drivers crave, a cumbersome package of less power and more complexity, promising efficiency but delivering blandness. It's the automotive equivalent of a participation trophy. But Koenigsegg's dark matter system shatters that mold. This isn't compromise. It's a performance steroid without any of the side effects. Forget turbo lag. Forget transmission delays that kill momentum. Forget the anxiety that creeps in when your battery level drops to single digits, turning every trip into a calculated risk. With dark matter, it's launch and go every time. No thought needed. The combustion engine and electric motor don't just coexist here. They're locked in a perfect symphony. Every torque dip filled seamlessly. Every power surge amplified in ways your brain can't even consciously detect. It's not a hybrid, it's pure symbiosis. Christian von Koenigsegg is the engineer-philosopher behind this revolution. Unlike most executives distracted by lobbying or chasing the next government subsidy, he's building cars for post-regulation worlds. Worlds where engineering superiority isn't optional, it's survival. He's famously said, "The internal combustion engine isn't dead, it's just been neglected." It's a statement loaded with quiet defiance. Because while governments around the globe legislate EV mandates and phase out combustion engines, Koenigsegg views these laws not as barriers, but as opportunities, weaknesses in the system that can be exploited with speed and brilliance. This isn't rebellion dressed in leather jackets. It's engineering supremacy wrapped in carbon fiber. Koenigsegg doesn't waste time lobbying politicians or spinning PR narratives. They prototype faster than governments can write regulations, faster than the market can react. They don't follow trends, they make them. When Koenigsegg finally pulled back the curtain on the dark matter motor, the skeptics laughed. 800 horsepower in a motor that size? They scoffed. Impossible, they said. Then came the numbers. The dyno readout, 922 lb-ft of torque, delivered by a single motor with no gearbox. It was a powertrain that rewrote every rule in the book. The press assumed it was a stunt, a marketing gimmick designed to grab headlines, until the dark matter prototype left a Porsche Taycan Turbo S eating its dust uphill in real time. No drama, no gimmicks, just pure, undeniable performance. YouTubers came expecting a hypercar showcase. They left confused, shaken, and frankly terrified. Because what they witnessed wasn't just a motor. It was the death of the EV honeymoon. All the promises of clean, quiet, high-tech mobility suddenly looked brittle. The glossy veneer cracked. The cracks widened. EVs came with a dark side, grid strain, the ecological nightmare of rare earth mining, spontaneous battery fires, and an insatiable demand for ever-faster chargers that don't exist everywhere. Koenigsegg didn't solve all these problems, but the dark matter motor sidesteps them entirely. It's recyclable. It's oil-cooled, avoiding the thermal nightmares that plague high-voltage EVs. It doesn't rely on cobalt mined from conflict zones or on fragile charging infrastructure. It doesn't need your house wiring to be rewired or your wallet to take a beating. Most importantly, it brings back the soul that EVs sterilized. The raw sound, the visceral feel, the mechanical heartbeat that reminds us why we fell in love with cars in the first place. And in that moment, the EV timeline split. Not just a fork in the road, a fissure. Koenigsegg opened the third path, one that defies electric-only dogma, rejects pure combustion nostalgia, and ushers in an era where power, efficiency, and emotion coexist. An era where the motor industry as we know it may never be the same. Because the dark matter motor is not just an engine, it's a manifesto, a statement that the future is not set in stone. It's forged in innovation, in risk, and in the relentless pursuit of perfection. The question now isn't whether the EV era will end. It's how quickly the world will follow Koenigsegg down this dark, electrifying new road. The EV age may have just peaked, and no one's ready for what comes next. If this blew your mind, hit that like button. Subscribe for more brutal truth and next-gen tech that mainstream media won't show you, and drop a comment. Is this the moment the EV dream dies, or is it just evolving?